What's up, everyone? It's Thomas with Real Broker here in St. Augustine, Florida, coming at you live every Wednesday at 8 p.m., going over the market stats, the news you need to know about if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing here in Northeastern Florida. And we're also doing a Q&A. So if you have any questions, whether you're watching it live or you're watching the replay, make sure you fire them off below. And just to start off with a little bit of housekeeping, I do also have a Facebook page you can join. It's Living in St. Augustine. You'll see this logo, just www.facebook.com/living in St. Augustine. You can go in there, ask questions, and really engage with the community. Aside from myself, of course, can ask me questions whenever, but it's a separate resource for you. We do also have a newsletter, so if you do want to sign up for that, make sure you comment your email. I'll make sure it gets over to you. I think it's pretty valuable. It recaps this, also gives you some things to do. We're going to be adding some more really, really good market data to that as well. So like if you want to have the downloadables, like the PDFs and stuff of things we cover, we're going to include that with that as well. So it's all coming to fruition here. Really excited about it, but let's do some housekeeping. If you've been here before, we always like to ask, like, hey, are you watching it live? Are you watching it local? Are you relocating to our area? What are you doing here? Are you looking to move here? Are you looking to move out of St. Augustine? I love, especially when I can get the locals involved, because then you can tell me like, hey, what are your thoughts on it? Am I full of shit? I know sometimes people will say I'm a greedy realtor. That's totally fine. Whatever your thoughts are, go ahead and fire them off in the comments below. I'm just looking for it because what it also does is, one, it helps me, but it helps other people, especially if they're looking to move into town, to get a local's perspective on it, right? Because I am a local, but of course, I'm a realtor as well, so maybe I'm a little bit biased. I try to stay on the fence. I try to give everyone the pros and cons of pretty much everything, because at the end of the day, I want you guys to have the information to make an educated decision. So, been speaking for 2 minutes straight on that. Let's go ahead and hop in, like we always do, to the market stats. And actually, I want to share just a couple of market stats. This is going to be a comprehensive video that I have coming out. This is taking me a little bit longer than I'd like, but it is going to be coming out. So in Northeastern Florida, people have asked me, and I've just gotten this question today, what's going on with the market? Like what do you see for the future of Northeastern Florida? And part of the market distillery is I get access to all this slides and data, and we have some really cool stuff. I'm collabing with Alex at the market distillery to put out better information too that helps people make a decision really in what's going on in this market. So the Jacksonville MSA encompasses these 5 counties, right? And in 2022, our population hit 1.67 million. Before, we weren't considered a metropolitan city. Now we are considered a metropolitan city. So prior to the pandemic, prior to 2020, we weren't, right? We weren't on the map for really anyone in terms of relocating to Florida or in general, right? But that's really changed pretty significantly. And I want to cover this because I also think this goes to show where our market's going to be heading here in the future. And I think if you look at this macro data point and you compare it to our local data in terms of house building, it's going to paint a pretty clear picture in my head, at least. And let me know if you think I'm full of it. But I want you to take a look at this here. So this one's better. Sorry. Whoop. This one right here. So this is the population growth in Florida. So Florida has been outpacing the nation in terms of population growth. I think it's number 2, but you're looking at the U.S. population, 15% population growth overall. Florida's doubled that. That's pretty staggering stats right there. I couldn't really believe that, to be honest, when I first saw that. And now let's just take a look at Jacksonville metro service area, right? So outpacing the state of Florida in general. From 2002, we have a 42.9% population growth, which is a large amount to even think that like pretty much double the amount of people live here. Not double, a third more of the people live here, a little bit more than that. That's pretty insane to consider within that time that this place has grown so much. And that's also something you're going to hear from locals moaning about, about like, oh, the traffic's just so much worse, so much more development. There's not as much green space, yada, yada, yada. I mean, yes, that is definitely happening, but I mean, that happens everywhere, right? We live 20 minutes from the beach, guys. It's a great place to live. Northeastern Florida is awesome, comparatively, I think, to the rest of Florida. But that's definitely something to look at. And this is the forecast, right? So 2025 expected to go to 1.75 million. 2035 going to hit 2 million, right? So by 2050, they 2.23 million. And I mean, that to me seems like a pretty crazy increase in population for our area. So let me find this other data point here, which I think is really important which comes into the idea of like, okay, so what's going to happen with our market? We have all these people moving here. So what's going to happen to home prices? And I think the biggest indication, because a quarter of our market right now in the Jacksonville metro service area is um, is new construction, right? So to break this down here, actually, this is a great graph too. This is the months of supply, right? So they went all the way back to 2008, 2009, when we were in extreme buyer's market, right? That's when the market crashed because of the great financial crisis. And he made a really good graph here to show you kind of where we're at right now. So we're still solidly in a seller's market and we're heading towards a balanced market. Now, this is also going to change too, because what me and Alex have put together is we're trying to, well, more or less Alex, I just had the idea, is adjusting this because this is based off of the population that was here in northeastern Florida several years ago, right? And our population has grown so much. And he actually adjusted these numbers based off of the growing population. And we're actually in more of a seller's market than was even outlined here. So I'll definitely show you that when we get that graph up. But 73% of home sales between 100 and 500,000. And then we have new construction coming in at 25% of our market. Now, this is something that I think is really important. The market has changed drastically over the past couple of years. As you can see from 2021, these are the building permit trends in northeastern Florida, right? So building permit trends on average are 9,000, right? 2021, we hit 16, 2022, 13.8K, and then 2023, it dropped off pretty significantly. Now, why is that? Basically has a lot to do with interest rates, builders reacting to buyers and the demand that was in the market. And they're trying to make sure that they don't overbuild so if there is something that happens, a major financial crisis or something like that, like in 2008, then they're going to be okay in terms of like, well, they're going to be able to weather a storm a little bit better. Maybe they won't be okay. So this is already on top of another problem, which I'll share here in just a second. It starts off our next news story, which is, during the pandemic, 2021, 2022, 2023, we heard about all of these, how the United States has a limited supply of homes, right? And that's still a factor in today's market. We are still in a seller's market. We still need more homes for the population that live here, right? Now, if they're not building more homes here in northeastern Florida because they were trying to make sure they're being very conservative just in case the market does take a serious turn, well, then they're going back to the rate of replacement that we were in several years ago, right? So they started building at a pace that would actually allow the supply and prices to start coming down. But because of the reaction in the market, they stopped putting permits in for new builds, which is going to cause even more of a delay and pushing that can essentially down the road. So I think those are just really two macro data points to look at and kind of think of like, okay, if X amount of people are moving into northeastern Florida and they're not building as many houses as they should for the population, well, what happens with pricing? Well, then just take basic supply and demand, right? So any questions about that, guys? Maybe I have some flawed logic you'd like to point out, go ahead and fire them off in the comments below. Appreciate you guys being here tonight. Let's get on to our next news story, which I'll cover here. So this is something that we were just talking about, mapping the future. America isn't building enough homes. A new atlas may fix that. So essentially what this article is saying is that, depending on who you're listening to, we're short somewhere 2 million homes to 6 million homes in the entire United States. And that's pretty much what we've been seeing over these past couple of years, people getting multiple offer situations because of the interest rates being low. And then also a large generation, baby boomers and Generation X own the majority of wealth in this country and also the majority of real estate, right? So in this article, it's actually pretty interesting to think of. They allude to the problem that we have is that most of the counties, most of the cities have zoning requirements, right? So for example, if it's zoned single family, that's all that you can do with it. You can't put a duplex on it. You can't put a multifamily property on that. So that therefore kind of limits what you can build on that property. So essentially what they want to do is go to a nationwide zoning map, right? That's going to collect all of this data from all of these small little portions and be able to kind of map it out a little bit better. And then also kind of help cities and counties figure out, hey, maybe this is a better use for a duplex or a multifamily project or a townhome or whatever that is, something to get more housing inventory on just what was once reserved for a single family home. Because most cities and counties want to have that suburban sprawl type of development. At least they have historically. Now, whatever you guys like, I don't know. I think, like, personally myself, I like to be in a walkable area. I like to be able to see people on the street, know my neighbors a little bit. And to me, that is more of like a townhome mini city kind of thing. I'm not talking about New York. I don't want to live in New York. I want to live in a small little town where I know everyone and I see people on the street. People can afford to live there and people are happy, right? That's my ideal, right? But maybe I'm a dreamer. Who knows? But they're essentially proposing this plan. And will this be immediate? No, no. This is going to be years away because you're talking about a conglomeration of so much data across the country, and then also you need, for any change really to happen, you need to have the local boards on top of it. So this was pretty much trying to eliminate the what people call NIMBYs, right? Which is not in my backyard. So, for example, it happens in California. It happens here in St. Augustine Beach, typically in more affluent areas where people own single family homes. They don't want you to come in and put an apartment complex or a duplex or a townhome, because that then, in their minds, lowers the value of their property in the area because it is close to such one of these structures, apartment complex. So that's why they call it not in my backyard. In my opinion, it is kind of ridiculous. I think it's funny that people are like, hey, you know what? I want people to have affordable housing, but not here. Like, and that's across pretty much the entire country that happens. So I'm not just trying to single out St. Augustine Beach or California. It's just those are the typical news stories that you will see. So this is kind of trying to fight that, but you will always have the community that will say, no, we want this. Yes, we want. No, we don't want this. Yes, we do want this. It just depends on that. So will it make a noticeable change? Hard to say. But any questions about that, guys? Oh, I see we got a comment here. Let me check. JJ, how are all the new apartment complexes impacting the real estate market in St. Johns County, in your opinion? So in terms of sales, I don't think it really impacts anything because and this bothers the shit out of me, because we talk about affordable housing and we haven't built a new condo building in years here, right? Like literally maybe like a decade or so. We haven't seen a new condo building go up here. Which is pretty crazy because that should really be the lowest bar of entry to get into a home outside of, like, of course, they have condos on St. Augustine Beach or vacation rentals, all that kind of stuff. But for like the average Joe, getting into your first home, especially for my generation, is more than likely going to be a condo or a townhome. It's not going to be a single family house with a yard and all that kind of stuff. You're going to work your way up to that. So it's definitely affecting rents in the area because these places are able to, one, they're massive, right? So they have tons of units available. So they're able to manipulate the rents a little bit better than, like, if I were renting my place out, then I can really only manipulate the rent so much because I still got to make a payment, right? But they're building, 400 units in these apartment complexes, and I'm sure you've seen them all come up, and they tout them as luxury rentals. And yeah, granite countertops, like, big deal. I don't know. I don't really get that. But I would say it's definitely affecting the rental market. If they built more condos that you could actually sell, which no developer is going to do these days because the profit margin is in the long run of it, of having rentals, then it would definitely affect our real estate market in terms of sales. But rentals, it's more or less flattening them out. I wouldn't say that they're going down at all, but they're definitely flattening out. And you also got to think, that's in tandem with all the people moving in here. So they're more than likely going to be a renter first, and then they'll turn into a buyer or a seller. So JJ, appreciate the comment. We're going to head on to the next news story here, guys. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, throw them off in the comments below. I'm tongue-tied today, man. I normally run through this and I don't skip a beat, but let's go on to the next news story either way. So this is something that, this is part of living in Florida, right? And this is part of the negatives of living in Florida. Boomer moved, like, boomer is like a negative connotation. A boomer moved back to Virginia after living in Florida for a decade. She says she'll never own another home in the Sunshine State and loves a slower pace of life. So Nancy moved to Cape Coral, Florida. She's 68 years old and just moved back to Virginia because of the escalating costs and the heat. Despite Florida's population growth, many like Nancy are moving to other states for cheaper living. Nancy says her move has resulted in lower costs, a relaxed lifestyle, and a break from politics. So just to sum this up here, guys, Nancy bought a house in Cape Coral for like 350,000 10 years ago. And because of the increase in, if she homesteaded it, she didn't have too many increase in property taxes, but the increases in insurance and also the heat, which you're in Cape Coral, Florida. You're in Florida, it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. That's part of living here. You know that coming in. She's decided that she was going to sell her house and move to Virginia. So she now lives outside of Virginia Tech, like outside that area. And she says that it's a slower pace of lifestyle and she enjoys that more. So Cape Coral, Florida has grown too much for her. It's gotten too busy. But at the same time, it's like, you know what she sold her property for? $700,000. Sold it for $700,000. She bought a townhome in the same area for a couple of years, then bought it for 150, sold it for 250, I think, or 215, one of those. And then she moved to Virginia with that money and bought a $500,000 house. So she also stated like the cost of her water bill, the cost of her electric bill, all that kind of stuff was actually high, but she had like I want to say they quoted here like a 3,500 or 4,000 square foot home with a pool. So it was a massive home for two people that are retired. But either way, this is something that's happening, right? Where people move here and then the cost of living changes pretty drastically. And a lot of that has to do with insurance. I mean, we've seen insurance increases for premiums pretty much on any waterfront home. You're getting an increase, but also for condos too, because we had the condo collapse. I actually just had one customer, we were looking at a unit in Yacht Harbor in Palm Coast, and the cost for the HOA was listed on the MLS on there's four units available or so like that, and they're all listed at like $700 a month. And then one unit comes on and it's listed at $1,000 a month. So I called the agent, and the agent said, "Yeah, everyone else that has it listed is wrong. They just don't understand that in January everything changed and that our insurance went up. So that change in HOA was $300 extra in insurance every single month. So $1,000 a month to live in Yacht Harbor." Which is insane. So that's definitely going to affect people that are on a fixed income. You have no choice. There's only a certain amount of money you have, right? So what do you do when the increases that you can't control, like insurance, change so drastically? I'm not sure. You know, that you sell it and you move somewhere like North Carolina or Tennessee or somewhere that's much cheaper than here, right? You're not going to be 20 minutes from the beach anymore, but you know that's you're going to save some money moving to a place with lower cost of living. I think that's also something for locals to really like. It's really hard for them to understand is, especially if you've never lived anywhere else. Like we live in a great little city, and we live 20 minutes to the beach, and a lot of like 320-8486 and 32080. It's all very close to the beach. So the expectation that prices should stay low to me is kind of crazy because they're not making any more land closer to the beach around this cool historic city that has all these fun things to do. Like it doesn't make sense to me, but I've lived other places. So like locals are just like, "Oh, you're a greedy realtor. You want to sell?" I'm like, "Hey, listen, people are going to buy and sell here regardless of me doing this kind of stuff. You know, I'm just here to help." So either way, it's a tough pill to swallow, but that's what's happening. Things change. And I wish it wasn't like that. If things were cheaper, I'd buy more houses myself, but they're not. So either way, we got a comment here. Metro ice hockey, North Florida beaches are still some of the greatest around. Yeah, Volano Beach, huh, John? Actually, that's one of our. Is it one of our stories here? I think I skipped it because it's kind of basic. But Volano Beach just had a beach renourishment. North of there, Ponte Vedra Beach is getting a beach renourishment right now, $38 million. But yeah, Crescent Beach, amazing beach. We got some great places. We got 42 miles of coastline here, guys, and pretty much all of it's pretty awesome. And I think John can attest for that. John, appreciate you, man. Hope you're doing well. But let's get on to the next news story here. Share my screen. All right. So this actually is pretty cool here. City of St. Augustine seeks public input for King Street Improvement Project. So they're going to look for it tomorrow at 4:30 at City Hall, right? But they're trying to make it the best mile in Florida, as they would call it. And they have 3 phases that they want to do. Let me see. They have a really cool interactive map here. And we'll take a look at that real quick, just so you kind of see what it's going to look like here. So this is going to be so this is all on King Street. If you get an idea here, I can work my way from. So, okay, wait, so this doesn't have okay, here we go. There we go. All right. So the Lions Bridge is right over here in this section. So this is the intersection here. You have Cathedral Place and you have King Street. This is the Governor's Mansion. St. George Street is where this line of trees is right here. So we're going to work our way west here, but this is before, right? So this is what this is after what the plan is going to look like, and this is what it looks like right now, right? So it's parking on either side, but they want to redesign it. They want to make it really beautiful. Going to add some brick inlays, some trees. Going to add some bike lanes, all that kind of stuff. This is kind of basic compared to what they want to do in the other section. So we'll take a look at the central section. So we are heading west on King Street. So Flagler College is right here. This is before, right? So you take a look at this road. You've driven on it before. It's pretty much just turning lanes that separate. Could be a 2-lane road really if you wanted to make it, but you have these massive turning lanes. So what they're going to do is add several brick crosswalks. Going to add crosswalks and trees and a middle brick crosswalk as well throughout that whole strip there, which I think will be a really nice addition. So this is also, I love this. This tool is cool. It's very cool to be able to see like what their vision is before and after. So shout out to whoever put that together. That was a good idea. But so then this is further west here. So these are like right here is the Flagler College residential building. This here is the San Sebastian Winery. Just to give you an idea, Riberia Street right here. But this is what it looks like as of right now. Carmelo's here in the corner, and this is what they want to turn it into. So same kind of theme through there, which I hope they continue out through West Augustine, because that would be amazing. That would be something else, because they're going to put that parking garage there. That'd be something else that could really, really make West Augustine look pretty beautiful. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think that could be the most beautiful mile in St. Augustine or in Florida? I don't know. That's hard to say. That's hard to say if it's going to be the most beautiful, but I think it will be better than it was, right? And it's beautiful now, like in my opinion. Still a really nice street. I run down there all the time. So I think it's a great little area now, but I think adding those little touches, a little bit more of a tree-lined street, some brick pavers in the middle of the street and the crosswalks, I think that'll look really nice. So excited to see how that comes across. Let's head on to the next news story here, guys. And this is one that we covered several months ago. Serenata Beach Club reopens its doors under new management. So essentially what was happening is the person who was managing this was also managing another property, embezzled the money. The Serenata Beach Club, one day the members walked up to the club, said, "Hey, sorry, we're closed because the workers haven't been paid in 2 weeks or a month or whatever time." And that's because the money was being misused. So they reopened. They're under new management, recovering from 2 foreclosure lawsuits and a fraudulent loan scheme. It's going to be under Radu Drula, a hospitality executive with 2 decades of country club experience. So that's actually a good sign, right? That's definitely a good sign, because I know the people that actually are a part of the Serenata Beach Club were extremely bummed about that because imagine if you worked there and you weren't getting paid and this was like your job for a while. I mean, apparently, that's what I heard, allegedly, right? Allegedly, the person who embezzled the money was going on vacations, was sending her daughter across the world, all this kind of stuff. So allegedly, I don't know if that'll ever come out, but that's what I heard. So either way, guys, I'm going to head on to the next news story. If you have any questions, fire them off below. And we're going to head on to the next one. So we just talked about this. I guess I meant to cover this earlier, but St. Johns County to begin $38.6 million beach renourishment project in Ponte Vedra Beach. So it's going to cover 9 miles of beach from Duval County line and down south to the Guana Preserve. So Weeks Marine is going to do it. It's $36 million, and the county will add another $2.5 million. Project total $38.6. It's going to start March 1st, and the dredging tubes will start applying sand around April 1st. 2 billion cubic feet of sand. It'll be a 24/7 operation into late August. That's crazy. It's so much sand to even think about that. But guys, we got one more news story here, and I'm gonna hop off for the night. Just wanted to get on here real quick. Next week, I'm actually gonna be in Puerto Rico, so I may do this. I may do it. Me and my wife are looking at a condo we might purchase. It's also gonna be her birthday next week, so we're gonna have a couple days in Puerto Rico. But I may hop on this. My background won't be as fancy. Maybe I'll come at you from the ocean. Who knows? But this is a good news story here that I think you need to know about, and you should participate if you can. St. Johns County leaders host first community meeting on strategic plans for development. So, as we know, because I tell you all the time, St. Johns County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state. And tonight, county leaders hosted the first community meeting at Pacetti Bay Middle School, discussed its comprehensive and strategic plans for development to stay on the path of growth. Um, so, they're essentially telling us, like, hey, you tell us what St. Johns County needs to look like. And because we're having a problem dealing with how fast we're growing with the infrastructure, with making sure that schools aren't crazy, and also trying to preserve what St. Augustine is to a lot of people, right? So one person said, I want to see the community grow, but I also want to see future jobs for my children. I want to see housing for my children. I want to see transportation. So these things are important to me as a resident. The county is updating its comprehensive plan, which is a 50-year vision. It's required to be evaluated every 7 years, and the strategic short plan is looking ahead for 5 years. So when you're thinking about this, think about what our government and services that will provide for you guys. The comprehensive plan is going to be more of a blueprint for the county and what we want our home to look like. So this is one of many meetings. This isn't the only one. So the upcoming meetings are going to be, so we have one today at 7:30, which of course missed. And you have tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. at Ponte Vedra Concert Hall. They do also have public kiosks. You can go and get more information on there. But I think this would be something that would be really interesting. I don't think I have time tomorrow, but I'll see if I can make it out there just to give you guys some more information on there. But yeah, that would be really interesting to see what the strategic plan is for St. Johns County, because as of right now, it just seems like we're growing so fast and we're having to deal with all this infrastructure. And the infrastructure projects are happening, right? There's some major infrastructure projects happening, but is it enough, right? That's the problem that we're going to be looking at, because St. Johns County is going to be a place where people want to move to. We have really great schools. We have history in downtown St. Augustine, some great culture in downtown St. Augustine. We have beautiful beaches. We're also in northeastern Florida, which doesn't get as hot. Like, there's just a lot of benefits to our area. So I don't really see it changing. So we need to figure out something else to adapt to this fast pace. So we'll see. We'll see. We got one comment here, guys. So if you have any more, fire them off in the comments below, and I'll answer them. But after that, we're going to wrap it up. So Ortiz, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. I think the downtown will look nice. I think I saw you walking today in the neighborhood. I walk pretty much every day in my neighborhood, get a nice little 45-minute walk outside. Next time, Ortiz, honk at me. If I was on West King Street, it's probably where you saw me, because that's where I was walking today. But that's not for that neighborhood. So the plan isn't for our side on US 1. It's for the other side. So if they extended it out to US 1, that would be amazing. I mean, I was looking at West King today, and I wonder if you just look at West King and you look, like, just physically look at the streets and how they're set up. They're 2 lanes, right? So one going west, one going east, and it's prime to either make it a 4-lane altogether, so 2 lanes going east and west, or to do like even you could add a bike lane to that as well. But you could do something so similar to downtown St. Augustine with that plan is that could really beautify West King. Like, I mean, and within West King District, in my opinion, is one of like the most beautiful, naturally beautiful areas, right? Now, are there some homes that need some work? 100%. Not saying that. Is there some trash that needs to be picked up? 100%. I do it all the time. I pick up trash like once a week in my neighborhood. It drives me nuts. But if you're just walking around looking at the natural beauty, like that southern old Florida natural beauty with like big oak trees and just like canopying the streets, West Augustine has that all over the place. And I love it. I love it so much. So I'm really optimistic. Obviously, I bought a house here. I want it to happen. But there's just so much potential for our little neighborhood over here that I'm stoked on at Ortiz. So next time you see me, let me know, honk at me, stop by. I'll say, hey, I'm pretty friendly, But either way, guys, appreciate you being here. JJ, John, Ortiz, appreciate you guys being here. You guys are awesome. Here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. You guys looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, make sure to reach out to me. Me and my team can help. We're doing pretty good. We got 5 stars on Google reviews, so we're doing all right. We're trying to make it happen. Ortiz said, I agree, especially build that museum. I love this neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, just today, West King Wednesday, we were walking down there and West King Wednesday was happening. And I said it to my wife, I'm like, how cool is it that we can just walk down here? You know, like we can just walk down here, go to like a little arts and crafts fair. I can go grab a beer at Mugsy's. I can go get a pizza at Real Peel. Ortiz, have you had that pizza at Real Peel? I mean, it's very good. I would recommend going to Real Peel, getting a pie, right? Bring your significant other, then going to get tacos from Tacos My Blessing. Sit over at Real Peel or outside of Mugsy's, get a beer, go to the bog, whichever one you prefer, and just chow down on the picnic tables because man, that's a good food. It's great. You wait for your pizza, you drink a beer, you go down to get some tacos, drink some more beer. You can do it at the same time. Go play some what do they call it? Cornhole. Go play some cornhole, maybe some darts, pool, whatever. Really excited about what's going on in West King. And I think there's so much potential for this neighborhood. So especially with being right from downtown St. Augustine. I mean, I'm not exactly sure where you live, Ortiz. If I remember correctly, I think you might have built a color home. Correct me if I'm wrong. You might have built a color home with the builder from scratch. I think we talked about it. Right around the corner from me. So I mean, then you're a 3-minute drive to downtown St. Augustine. Like we're a 20-minute walk to downtown. Like, and also our neighborhood is walkable, right? Which I think is amazing. So either way, guys, me and Ortiz will catch up after this. Hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you next week. Okay, take it easy, guys.